Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today, we're discussing Farscape, Season 4, Episode 10, Coup by Clam. Team Moya get mixed up in political subterfuge whilst being blackmailed by an eccentric doctor.
This episode is super gross.
Yes, it is, actually. Is it super gross? I just agreed with you and then questioned myself.
We see Naranti, aka Granny, urinating into a bucket.
That was inevitable. This season has been a bit rough on the sort of bodily angle. We've had stuff with vomit in previous episodes, and now a bit of urine here and there.
Lots of farting. That's not new, though.
No, that's a staple. So maybe that's always been part of the show.
A prolonged sequence of self-pleasure. Oh, we've had that too, with Zan.
I don't think there is anything in this episode that was specifically new and disgusting. But it did have quite a lot of stuff that was a bit awkward or unpleasant.
When Naranti asks for spit samples, I really wanted her to do that for no reason. Not to have, I'm trying to find a cure or whatever. I just wanted her to collect spit for no reason.
It sounds like the kind of thing she would do. But that would make the episode worse in this regard.
It would. It wouldn't help this episode at all, but I prefer Naranti acting without reason.
Speaking of episode quality, what did you think of this one, aside from it being a bit of a gross out episode?
I really like the mollusk idea, and I think that was executed well, but it's wrapped around by a lot of stuff I don't like. Not even the body gross out stuff. I was confused with the political stuff. Confused as in it didn't really resolve. The team didn't do anything. Chiana just kind of talked to that person. It was weird. It didn't. It wasn't cohesive.
Yeah, okay. A lot to process there. The clams linking them and being like a dual food poisoning, that's sort of fine. I think it's over-explained.
It is, and they even joke about it, how it shouldn't be explained.
Which is that I think mostly saves that problem.
It felt like someone was really proud of coming up with how this works, and they wanted it in there and insisted it be in there, and they had to find a way to make that palatable because that's annoying to be talked down to.
It's kind of similar to the iEnch bracelets that they had at the end of season 3, and they didn't spend so long explaining those. In fact, I think it was mostly explained by Rigel headbutting Braca.
That probably makes this even worse, that we've had something similar, and you should expect the audience to catch on quickly.
I liked the doctor, but I was really confused by his motives.
You wanted money?
Yeah, he just seemed to be way too helpful. Like, he didn't seem like the kind of person who would poison people to death for money.
They did something with him that I hate when shows do this, where the bad guy looks like a bad guy, specifically crooked teeth. So crooked teeth, crooked dealings. It's a shortcut and it's done all the time, but I expect better of Farscape.
Oh, come on. Even Shakespeare did that. He did actually do that, but that's, yeah. Having good guys be beautiful and bad guys be ugly is bad writing.
I did like his pointlessly large nose, though.
Which Rigel bit off. Or bit most of it off.
A good chunk. Again, more body gross out stuff.
Yeah.
Nose is being bit off, and he had plenty of snot dangling from his nose.
Which is pretty funny for a doctor, but yeah. A lot of this gross out stuff, it's like I could take it or leave it. It's not. It doesn't affect me too much, but it seems like they're just using it to flesh out a script which is otherwise lacking.
Yes, they lean on it really hard. There are so many examples. Sukozu's finger being chopped off, for one.
Well, her body parts reattach.
Did we know that before? I can't remember.
Yeah, she lost her arm in the first episode. She turned up. It got ripped off by the dog creature or something. I can't remember what happened to it.
Okay, so this episode wasn't even a cool way to reveal that. You said it was a way to flesh out this episode, and that reminded me about the pressing of flesh that they had to do. I am so surprised they didn't push the boundary on that one and have them
butt to butt.
Yeah, require them to be completely naked. That seemed like that's where that was going.
They can't do that. It'd be too rude.
It would fit right in with the rest of this episode.
So there was a bunch of stuff about sexism. You touched on this a minute ago. There was some sort of sexist / political drama which was wedged in there and felt shallow and farcical.
Really poorly executed.
It's noble that they want to solve sexism.
Sure.
But this episode does not do that. Sadly, it was so close, but it just didn't.
Instead, we get John and Drag, and then he makes a double entendre about something under his skirt or dress, whatever. Doesn't matter.
It was kind of. I thought it would be a bit gay panicky, but it kind of wasn't really. But it was still basically a punchline.
Which is almost always how that goes, and why I hate when it's done. So I was not happy to see it here. They didn't go with, "Hey, look how funny this is." It wasn't.
It wasn't
all
slapstick. Kind of. Like, I've seen episodes of shows tackle drag or even trans issue type stuff way worse than this, but that's not to say this particularly did anything good. It seemed like the two ideas they had for this episode were clams and John in drag.
I didn't like this episode right from the start because I didn't like that they trusted this guy's food based on nothing. They just feasted on all this crap. They don't know this guy. You don't know what he could do. I know he's a doctor, and most doctors are probably trustworthy, but they don't know this guy, and they're in tormented space.
Yeah, they've met tons of dodgy people.
So I didn't like that they ate all that food without a thought. I get that maybe they're low on food supplies and it was a matter of being desperate, but still annoyed me.
They're not low on food. They haven't been low on food since they became filthy rich.
I'm trying to explain away my anger.
No, you should be angry at this episode.
Okay, there was one thing I really liked that's in this episode.
Oh.
And that is
It's
Rigel. Oh, wait, what were you going to say?
It's another exclusionary podcast where we single out all the things that we do like and then just trash the rest. So what did Rigel do?
I really liked Rigel improvising as a doctor. That was fun.
Rigel had a lot of good stuff in this episode.
Like force feeding the real doctor?
Oh, that's not exactly what I thought. He bought purple stuff and John didn't like it, and Rigel says he always wears purple. And he does.
Because it's a royal color.
It is, but that's only because purple dye was really rare in the history of Earth. Or really expensive to make.
Same thing for Hynerians. Don't you know this?
Ah, I see. It's a common thing.
Another instance of Aaron bungling some English. And because they keep doing this, I'm thinking they're setting up Aaron having a conversation with John about how she wants to spend her life with him on Earth. And so she's preparing her English.
What did she mess up this time?
Jural power.
Joel. Ah, yes.
G's are tricky.
Yeah, the English has really bad spelling. Soft and hard G's are just the same letter. It's really good.
I can't figure out what Scorpius is up to, but it can't be good. He's playing the hero right now, and I've said this before, but he's playing the long game. He's going to try to destroy these people, but I don't know how. I'm still trying to figure that out.
I liked it when he murdered that guy.
Yes, quick and business as usual right after.
But it seemed like he kind of enjoyed it quite a lot.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Like in a sexual way.
Well, given the rest of this episode, I wouldn't be surprised.
I didn't like the guy, the military guy, who was overtly sexist in that way. That's not how sexism works. People don't meet up and say, hey, let's all be sexist together. Yeah! And I thought the mechanic was female anyway.
Oh, yeah, that was not a reveal. That was, of course, that's a female.
And she takes a wig off and then has long hair. Like, what? Like, wouldn't you just cut your hair? What? Women can have short hair. What? That is sexist. That is actually sexist.
That made me think of those terrible rom-coms. The girl takes off the glasses and suddenly she's pretty.
Yeah. If anything, that's the most sexist part of the episode, is that a mechanic can't be obviously female unless she has obvious boobs and long hair. And it's even weird that Chiana cared that much.
They just needed something for her to do because they needed an even number of people to pair off, and then so she was left out. Let's find something for her.
It didn't fit her character. She wouldn't care that much about that sort of thing. I mean, she hasn't in the past. She met the androgen Nabari and was like, hey, that's cool.
I feel like she would want to be more involved in trying to help Dargo and the rest of the crew, not just hang out on Moya.
Yeah. Scorpius is watching those guys. Oh, wait, yeah, hang on. Probably doesn't want to leave just Scorpius there.
He's the secret hero of this episode, though.
Yeah, he also got some tiki torches and ate the clams. And then later on, just vomited them up. That's more gross out stuff.
Oh, right, yeah.
There was no logic to that. How come he was not affected?
He's really good at not being sick.
He has conscious control over how he digests things.
He doesn't become infected unless he decides to be.
That does not make a lick of sense.
For fun. He thinks, I should probably have the flu right now.
I could believe that he would do that kind of weird thing. Willingly commit sort of self-biological warfare.
It's to become more resilient.
It was a really bad way to end the episode because it doesn't make sense and it is just more gross out stuff at the end. Kind of framed the whole thing as, yeah, we didn't really think this through.
The whole episode, I thought the doctor was pregnant because of his belly, and the actor would even hold his belly sometimes, like the pregnant women tend to do. I thought they would do something with that, but no, that's just his body.
It could have been makeup.
Oh, I mean the character's body, not the actor's.
Well, it could have been I don't know. Maybe the actor had a pot belly.
I don't know either way, but it was not part of the episode. And given all the stuff with bodily fluids, I think a gross birth would fit right in.
Yes. If he developed a cure for this thing, surely that would be worth money.
Oh yeah, people would love that. People as in terrible people.
It seems odd that he's trying to infect and blackmail people.
He's not very smart, except he is.
Except he is. You know what this episode kind of reminds me of? Remember that episode with the Planet of Lawyers from season 2?
Yeah.
It reminds me of that one.
Because it doesn't make sense?
Yeah, it's just this sort of planet, which, by the way, the planet looked really cool in this one. It's like a inside-out planetoid thing. But yeah, it's just a planet with some stupid political thing going on that is so badly thought out that it just doesn't really make sense. And then they kind of just trudge through the episodes and some stuff happens and they kind of hand wave it all the end. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah. That's what we got here.
So that makes it bad. I would say this is a bad episode. It's quite a controversial episode as well.
In what way?
A lot of people didn't like their treatment of John in women's clothing.
It could have been so much worse.
It could have been worse, but it also could have been far better.
It's not good, but I think it's also important to think about, wait, when did this air?
December the 2nd, 2002 in the UK.
Okay. I would have expected better for that time. I was thinking, I don't know why I keep thinking this show aired like mid-90s.
It started at the end of the 90s. I think even if it had been 5 years later, they would have thought twice about this. I hope they would have. Because they achieved nothing with putting John in drag.
It was a punchline. That's it.
Yeah.
Look, he has makeup on and a wig, and hair gets in his face. Because that's like a girl.
Yeah, as we know, females just always have long hair. Always.
Yep. It's the only choice.
So whilst he wasn't suddenly using women's intuition or other silly things, or getting emotional, or getting the vapors?
The vapors?
What's that? Is that a thing?
Isn't that something made up from the 1940s? I don't know.
I'm not up to date with Victorian weird sexist things. But yeah, there's so many avenues they were sort of aware that they should not do this, but they kind of didn't click that they probably shouldn't do the whole thing in general unless they have a reason to do it, and they didn't. It's like it's fumbling around in the dark. Like, okay, we can put him in drag, and then we should.
Because he has to be. Well, why does he have to be?
Yeah.
Because this thing is in place. That doesn't make sense. I'll go with it anyway.
They were aware that they shouldn't make him do like a falsetto voice. And whilst it seems that the guy thought he was a beautiful woman, it turns out the guy just knew he was an infiltrator. So they were aware that that would also be bad. But it's like they didn't quite realize that because there's a lot of things that are sort of not great things to do, so morally, that maybe they were in completely the wrong direction.
It seems like they were really set on John dressing up as a woman, and they weren't going to stop until they figured out a reason, no matter how contrived, for that to happen.
Well, they've got that out their system then, I suppose.
I hope so.
That's sexism solved in Tormented Space.
R.I.P. sexism.
Yeah. This episode showed you
that you're alive and well.
Yes. Do you have a quote from this episode?
One more word of technobabble and I'm going to cut your tongue out.
He actually called it technobabble. That's the official term.
Because he's a sci-fi dork. He's made many Star Trek references.
Yes. So it's reasonable that he would get that reference correct.
I bet he contributes to wikis.
No, I don't think he's... I think he's not that deep into it.
Low-level nerd?
Yeah, as someone that watches stuff on TV and enjoys it. I think he's like a 90s fan. Like, he wouldn't watch every episode in sequence. I mean, he worked for NASA, kind of doing technical stuff.
Discount
so
NASA.
He's probably busy. For all of the anti-technobabble rants in this episode were welcome, they didn't do half as much as Rigel's little rant when he got shrunk. And
that was brilliant. I love that.
That was way more on the nose because it worked in multiple levels. And this is just him saying, yeah, technobabble's bad, you know.
But it was good technobabble. It made sense. I liked that aspect of it, but it kept going, so it felt like filler. And so it felt like they knew that, but then wanted to work around it. It was, I'm conflicted with it.
Just as with this entire episode, it seemed like it was just there so he could say, hey, stop doing the technobabble.
Let's have him say a bunch of technobabble so he could say stop it.
Yeah, it's a contrived sequence of events to get to some specific result that's generally not good enough to qualify all that contrived stuff they had to do to get there. This whole episode feels like it was very underdeveloped. Like, it's got the kind of Farscape thing going on where there's one kind of plot line about blackmail and it gets mixed up in another plot line and stuff. But it feels like they did it on Friday morning for a Monday deadline. And they took Friday afternoon off.
Yeah, that's perfect. I see seeds of a truly, at least good episode of Farscape. It doesn't feel completely detached from what I expect from Farscape, but the details are all wrong.
I just don't know what they were going for.
Fart noise.
Shall we move on and quickly forget about this episode?
What episode?
This one.
But I already forgot it.
Let's go.
Fart noise.
Yeah, enough with the gross out stuff.